You've set up tracking for your marketing data, but now you're struggling to really display that data and make use of it. That's where Data Studio can come in and help. Hi, I'm Mona from Munalytics, and today I'm going to try and give you the tools needed to create a basic report for yourself within Looker Studio, pulling in from Google Analytics 4. Before we jump in, let's talk about what is Looker Studio. It was formerly known as Data Studio and rebranded by Google. It is a free data visualization tool from Google. Think similar to Tableau or other items like that. Essentially, all it does is display data that you provide it. Why I choose Looker Studio? It's free. It allows you to easily create interactive dashboards. It has pre-built connection for a lot of the items that I use for clients. Since it is a Google tool, it has pre-built connections for Google Analytics 4, Google Ads, Google Sheets. One of the questions I frequently get asked when using Looker Studio to pull in GA4 data and display it is why not use a dashboard or other items within GA4 itself. In Looker Studio, I find I have better customization, the availability to add in other data sources as needed as well. So if we wanted to build on the report in the future, we could add in other data sources from Google Ads, from Google Sheets, or whatever we really need to use. And it has a lot better visual design capability. Let's jump into Looker Studio. You can either type in Looker Studio or you can navigate to lookerstudio.google.com. When you first log in, you might be required to accept some of their terms and conditions or other items like that. If you have any dashboards already existing that you created before, you would see them down here. But for the most part, let's pretend this is empty. Let's talk about the two most important parts of Data Studio, the reports and the data sources. We're going to start off with data sources. Data sources essentially show you what data you're pulling in to Looker Studio. At the top left, we're going to say create, and we're going to create a data source. You have all of these options, as you can see, by Google pre-built. There are some partner connectors as well. Some of these are paid, some of these are free. For the most part, let's take a look at Google Analytics. You will have to authorize so that obviously you can log into your account and get the information. And now it's going to show me all of the stuff I have within my Google Analytics account. And it's going to say, which account do I actually want to connect to? In this case, I want to connect to Munalytics, and I'm going to select my Munalytics account. It's going to show you everything that it's pulling in. Literally every column, every metric from Google Analytics. You can also add in your own custom metrics and other items like that. But for the point of this, we're not going to worry about that. So now let's take a look at creating a report. So we created this new report. Again, it's going to ask us about the connectors we want to use. It initially prompts you right away. We're going to click on this and we're going to click add. You can have a responsive layout that will automatically adapt. This is something relatively new that I haven't played around with. I normally do a freeform layout where I decide the size of each table. Responsive layout and the responsiveness on Google Data Studio, what I have noticed is sometimes it cuts a bit too much. If you were to select the responsive layout, it does look like this. You can choose either or, but for the purpose of this thing, we're going to do the responsive layout. I like how it gives me a nice little title that I can add in. And it has some pre-built things already, such as date control. You could add these in the other section. It doesn't make a difference really which one you choose. This just seems like it has pre-built the sizing so that when we add in items, we can already have the correct sizing. If I wanted to add in a chart, it will now ask, what do you want to add in? I'm going to say at the top, I actually want a graph and I want a smooth line series chart. Now, when I click on this and I click edit, show properties, I'm going to drag this all the way across. I had to refresh because Data Studio does have some issues where I was meant to see that this chart is the same. What I'm looking at, let's say here, is date. It asks me if I want a breakdown dimension, and then I want to see sessions. I'm going to put sessions in here, regular session. You can add filters. You can have auto date range. So the difference between auto and custom, auto will follow whatever's selected up here. So I'm going to click in here and I'm going to say when someone opens a report, what I want them to see is this year to date. So it will automatically be set to that. So tomorrow it will go to May 12th and you will be able to see on the graph, it will follow this. If I wanted the graph to not follow this, I could do custom and I could say this graph specifically has to be this month to date. That's it. It's not allowed to do anything else. I'm going to let it go on autumn for the time being. Add in another section. Let's add some controls. You could add the controls from up here as well. And what we can have is date range control. The date range control we technically already have, which is this top right one up here. But we're not actually going to add that in. I want to add in a data control. What a data control is, let's say you synced all of your analytics accounts or you've got multiple properties under one account. You can filter down to look at specific properties. My purpose is this isn't great. Let's add in a drop down list control. I'm going to get rid of this control because I don't really use it. Control field. This is what do you want to be able to filter in this report? Again, default channel group is a really good one. We can add in multiple ones. You can copy and paste in this. So you can right click, copy, or control C and control V. For this one, I want to add in country. I want to know which country it is. And then the last one, I want to look at device. I like device so we can see if it's mobile or anything else. You will see here it has show values and you have these numbers. This number is basically defined by this metric, but you can have sessions. You can pick this to be something else such as conversions. For the time being, I'm using it as sessions, having it ascending. You can see the default channel groups as well. Now I want to add a chart and I want to add in a table. On my table, instead of event name, I want the default channel. I want multiple metrics. So I'm going to go with sessions. I'm going to go with, let's say, bounce rate. So before I carry on, I want to drag out this table because I want it to look prettier. So we're going to go with sessions, bounce rate, events, session, defense. So what I did here, I used default channel group. For like 99% of things in analytics, you want session default channel group. That will give you access to all the metrics. Same thing here. You'll see that this has only got 221 because I didn't use session default channel group. The way stuff is grouped in Google Analytics, there will be some of these nuances that you need to figure out. Let's see how many users we had as well. New users is what I'm very interested in, let's say. And I want to see how many key events. And I want to see the session key event rate, which is essentially the conversion rate. You can see here it's saying 1 of 5. You can say, okay, I only want to see the top 1. I want to see the top 5. I want to see the top 10. Page Nation is, let's say if it was a top 1, you could click to go to the next page. So this is just allowing people to see all of the data. You can choose how to use this. You can have a summary row, so it's all added together, which I like to do. Usually I try, again, make this nice and simple, not too much stuff in here. For now, we're going to look at, let's say, top 5. We'll have the Page Nation. If we get more channels in the future, you'll be able to see them come here. I want sorted by sessions descending, sorted by key event. Key events in this case are conversions. You can have a secondary sort, which I will put in as sessions. So if 2 have the same key event number, we don't, well, we do in this case is 0 and 0, then it would sort by the number of sessions. Title, I want to say channel performance, if I could spell. Channel performance. You can choose sort of the text you want to use, anything like that. Center it personally, but you can have it at the top, at the bottom. There's a lot of stuff you can play with around here. Positioning. I like to make everything here just centered. Personal preference. You can also choose for numbers. So let's say, for example, the bounce rate. The bounce rate is the second column in here for metric and have 1 decimal place. So now all of the bounce rates will be to 1 decimal place. You can choose the type of stuff they are, other items like that. Events per session. It's a bit weird to have a point on that. I understand why it does, but for this purpose, I want it to round to the nearest number. So I've selected 0. You can change the background and everything else. I do not like the row numbers here, so you can actually turn them off just by clicking this. Looks a lot better. Previously, you'd have to drag this left and right, and so you can sort of choose how big each section is. They added in this nice new button, resize columns. You can fit to data, which means make sure that it fits, or you can say to distribute evenly, so every section is the same size. I've noticed that this one isn't centered, that's center that, but I normally resize columns fit to data and it will automatically decide what size they need to be. You can play around with colors. You can change everything in here. I'm not going to do that during this thing, but I would highly recommend, now that you have the basics down, if you look between the chart and between this, the items are pretty much the same in the setup. You can add more. So I could even have a second line for key events. It's very user friendly, very much sort of drag and drop. You can't really break it, is what I like to say. You may bump into errors, but for the most part, it works. That was a very basic intro into Data Studio itself, just to hopefully help you get a feel for it and help you be confident enough to go in and start playing around by yourself. What's great is that there are a lot of people out there who have created custom templates. What this means is you don't necessarily need to worry about building out all the tables and the filters and some of the other items because someone else has done it, and you can easily replicate what they've done within Data Studio. I did want to show obviously how you would build it out from scratch. So if you did want to pick up a template online and then modify that template to include some of the information that you felt was more valuable. Let me show you now how you can use a template from online. You'll see a lot of people who will potentially hand out templates. Data Studio itself, or Looker Studio I should say, has a library of templates as well. So if we go back to Looker Studio, you will see that it has some templates up here. For example, this GA4 report. What you can do is you can click into this GA report. It has default data. Now it's actually synced up to my account and it's saying which account do you want to see. So we can go into Munalytics and now it's provided this information for Munalytics. Not the best template. There is multiple pages on here though, and it's using that. There are a number of different templates available online. I'm going to go online and find a different template. So we're going to go with Looker Studio GA4 template free. There's a lot of paid ones out there. We do not want any of those. We want one of the free ones. And this looks pretty nice. For example, let's take a look at this one. When you click use template, it will open up a Looker Studio. We have this Looker Studio, but obviously it's not owned by us, really. What you can do is on any Looker Studio report, there is a setting for this that they can turn off so people can't make a copy of it. But if they leave it on, what you can do is you can click make a copy. What it's going to say to you is, here's the original data sources. What data sources do you want to use? I'm going to take the Google Analytics one and I'm going to say use this data source and copy report. When I copy this report, it's going to go into my account and you will see it should automatically add in all of this data, which is great. If data source is broken on any of the tables, if you click up here, data source, you can pick the data source it's using. So just go in and select the data source you need to. This is now all using my data and all I've had to do is copy it and literally just update the data source. Now let's say over here, I didn't want this to be new users. I wanted this to be key events. From what we learned earlier, all I need to do is change this metric here, key events. Now it's changed. On the graph as well, I don't want new users. I want key events. This has now been updated as well. There are multiple different templates available out there. So if you see one you like, you can literally use this method. So it's quite easy to take work that some people have available online and are willing to share, copy that, modify it for your needs. As you probably saw in the search results there are a lot of people doing this. I personally want to build out my own one as well. So once that's available, I will obviously have a link to that as well. And now you should be in a good position where you feel comfortable to connect Looker Studio to your Google Analytics and put together a basic report at the very least, or go online, find a report that someone else has created and is willing to share and use that report. One of the other big reasons about using Looker Studio, which I do want to cover, is the ability to share this report with other people. I'm going to show some of that functionality now. What you can do at the top right here is you can click share and it's going to say, who do you want to share with and what level of access do you want to give them? You can make them a viewer or an editor. For most clients, they're viewers. Viewers can use the filters, play around with the filters, change stuff up. Editors have full access like you do and can change the report on the back end. You can type in your client out and you can send them an invite. It will also notify them. They do not have to accept the invite. So after that's ready, you can automatically just send the link to them. And at any time they can access that link and see the report. The other thing that I like as well is you can actually schedule delivery. And what it will do is it will send out an email. You can say, send this email. I want it to start here. I want it to replete weekly on every Tuesday. Pick custom time frame. So you can say every 1 week, month on 13th. You can change this however needed. And what it will do is it will actually PDF this report and it will send it out to whoever you put here as a recipient. Similarly, you can download a PDF version of this just by going into file, download as PDF. It has a lot of functionality to share this. You can also embed this report. So you will get a nice little embed code and you can embed it directly on your website. So sometimes you'll see some charts and stuff like that and it'll be a nice little report and it would say powered by Looker Studio in the bottom right. This is essentially what they're doing and embedding it into the website. On the viewer side, the viewer themselves, they can actually select the date range. I'm going to say, you know what? I only care about this month. All of these items will now be updated. These filters that we added on earlier, we can say we only care about the direct traffic filter for that. In this case, what's probably more useful based on the graph I have, country, I'm going to say I only care about Canada. That's where I'm based. And then it will tell me all my Canada sessions direct, how many people. We can also look at device. I'm assuming the reason that this is popping up to the top left and not right underneath as it normally does is because I've selected the responsive type. As I said, this is really new. This is actually my first time using it myself, but they tend to have a few bugs. Bear with it. Usually this drop down should be right underneath. In terms of actually working, everything seems to work correctly. So we can filter down for specific devices and it will filter all of the data for that information. Now you see that I've made all these updates. If I was to refresh, it will go back to the original stuff without this. So when sharing this out, people can play with the filters, do whatever they want. It doesn't affect the back end of the report, which is one of the reasons I really like Data Studio. When providing information to my client, they can say, okay, this is this month or this is this year. That's great. Let's take a look at last year, for instance. And they can just go in and play around and get the information themselves if they need to without messing up my report. Although there is a paid version for Looker Studio, everything I've showed today, including the email and sending that out, PDFing, embedding it, is all currently free. There is no charge associated with that. Don't know if Google's going to change that in the future. They do have a paid version of Looker Studio. Not something I've found the need to really use yet. I do have some tips and tricks. Start simple. Don't crowd too much data or information on the page. Ask yourself, what am I looking for in this report? Is it which channels I'm driving the most conversions? And start there. Focus on what metrics are you actually going to take and use from this. Page views is great. How many people viewed the page, but are you actually going to use that metric, or should you be looking at leads or something else, or how long they're spending on certain pages, what the bounce rate is of those pages? What the difference is if you look at the bounce rate of the individual page, you can say a lot of people are coming to this page and leaving. What an actionable item from that could be: do we need a CTA at the bottom? Do we need a contact? Do we need something like that? Or do we need more links to, it's a blog post, hey, check out our next blog post, which is about this, which links on quite nicely. Knowing your audience, especially when sharing the dashboard. It's very easy to overcrowd information, but let's say you're dealing with some of the higher ups of a company and all they care about is how much revenue are they generating. Why would you go beyond really showing, let's say, sessions, conversions, and revenue so they can get an idea of this is the split up? There's no need to then go into bounce rate and everything like that with them. Keep it nice and high level. You can have separate reports or separate pages that you go into that. Obviously, some of that information might be useful when feeding into revenue, but essentially try not to bore whoever you're showing this report to. It's so easy, data overload, but keep it concise, keep it around what the core question or what you are looking for from that report specifically, based on who you're showing it to. Explore other data sources. Don't just stick to Google Analytics. You could put in your revenue data for lead based. You can put in some CRM data, transfer it first to a Google Sheet to say some overall by day, how much revenue that's being made by the business. And you can use all of that data as well in Google Data Studio. So look into other data sources, see what else you can add in to make that report more valuable. Again, base it on who's looking at this report. And don't be afraid to play around with it. I tend to find when you break something, you tend to learn a lot more when trying to fix it. So explore, play around, build out different graphs. You can use pie charts. There's so much in there that I haven't covered in this video because I did want to try and keep it brief and be an intro. This video is essentially made to help you understand how it works, how it can help you, and for you to take away and now go into Data Studio, link one of your clients up, play around with it. It does not affect analytics at all. It pulls in the data and then you're just displaying that data. Cannot break anything from analytics. I'm 99% confident you can't because it doesn't affect anything within analytics itself. Connect up the data, build what you want to build, play around with it, and just see what you can really do in Looker Studio. As always, if you have any questions or even just want help building out a report, feel free to drop me a comment below or reach out to me directly. Thank you for watching.